Hey y'all, Cold Deflector here. Um, Looks like we are actually live, and I can see myself. Camera's still kind of ick, but I can see myself. This might actually work. Okay, so if you looked at the title here, we're going to talk today about something very simple. What are mountains? And the reason we chose this topic, or I chose this topic, is because I needed something a little bit more tame to try to just walk through the process of Kojaflick. Yes, that is a word I made up, and we're going to stick with it. I like it a lot better than those big, long scientific things that you can't remember. Okay, so cogiflecting, it's a process, and the essence of it is that you take cognitive filters, these definitions that we store in our brains so that we can function in life because we can't always be processing 100% of the information we're taking in 100% of the time. So we create filters that take data that's coming in and say, oh, that means this. And it just automatically happens and we're able to move on with life. Okay. Every now and again, we should review those. So we're going to take something very tame that maybe you don't need to review. Okay. But we're going to demonstrate the process. So the first step is to take this filter out of your brain and look at it. How do you do that? Well, you define the filter. You stop and say, okay, in this case, what are mountains? Well, what are mountains? Okay, how do I find mountains? Now, if I look at that, I would say a mountain, that's this land feature. It goes way up high. And for me, a mountain is something that's high enough from the valley floor, no matter where you are, even if you're in the middle of a big old city with tall buildings and stuff, within a block, you'll be able to look to the side and you see the mountain because it's sticking way up, even above the tallest buildings and stuff. I mean, like way up there. Okay, to me, that's part of my definition of mountain. Probably not to you, because depending on where you live, where you grew up, you might have a different definition. What else would I say about a mountain? Well, a mountains are always big. There's something you would have to put some effort into getting to the top. Yeah. And yeah, it's a terrain feature. Now, if you were to ask my nephew, his filter is a little bit more complicated than that because he's a geologist. So you ask him what is a mountain, and his filter is just huge and intricate and got all these bits and pieces. Right? For him, he's got to have all that extra stuff on his filter. I don't. Your filter may look a little different. So stop and think, what is a mountain? Try to define it. You have to pause the video because you're watching this later. Pause the video. I realized I started a little bit early. I was supposed to start at 2 o'clock. And it is almost 2 o'clock right now. I'm still working on this whole YouTube thing. I'm happy I have a camera that's working. And it's taking it straight from my camera now to figure out the resolution and all that. Because I have filmed and recorded film. It's a lot less grainy than what I'm seeing right now. I don't know. I've got solid state drives. Got all this other kind of stuff. It may just be a matter of because with the live stream, you have to deal with bandwidth issues. And because of that, I don't know. That may be it. But anyway, moving on. So that little stalling there, that was to give you a chance to think about what is your filter? What is your definition of mountain? Now let's stop and take a closer look at that. That's the step 2. Taking in new input to compare and see, does your definition still hold up? Does it need to be tweaked a little bit? So let's take a look. Okay. If I look on maps of Tennessee where I live, I'm going to see a lot of places that are called Mount such and such or such and such mountain, and they don't fit my description at all. They're not very tall in my book, compared to what I've defined as a mountain. I mean, if you're in the middle of the town, you'll never see the mountain. I mean, middle of town, not middle of the city. In the middle of town, you'll never see the mountain. It's you have to get out of the town to see the mountain. It's over yonder, and it's actually down from where you are right now. It's the peak, sort of. I mean, that okay. Out East Tennessee, they got the Smoky Mountains, but they still don't quite fit that filter that I just pulled out and showed to you. Maybe there are other things that are called mountains. I mentioned my nephew a little bit ago. I'm sure he would get into this whole thing with the plate tectonics and things pushing upward, and either and there are different categories. Maybe these kind come from volcanoes erupting, and these kind come from an upward thrust, because something's pushing underneath. This one was folded up, and that one was whatever. He knows all that stuff, not me. I'm not the geologist. See, his definition would then include a lot of things that mine doesn't include. Maybe I need to change my definition. Folks have said that before. Maybe I do. So what is a mountain? What's the, maybe the question could be looked at a different way. That's one way if you're kind of stuck on how to view it and see if it's still good. Try to come up with another way of questioning. So then what is the difference between here's that line. Are all hills mountains? All mountains hills? See, to me, when I look at a hill, if it's a hill, first of all, it's not so jagged and pointy. Oh, look, we just discovered another piece of my definition, didn't we? For me, mountains are jagged and pointy. No, I didn't notice that when I first gave you my definition, did I? That came out through further inspection. Now, is that a valid measurement? Because admittedly, not all mountains are pointed and jagged stuff. Those are just the new mountains. Old mountains have been worn down a bit, haven't they? So then maybe it's a height thing. Well, when you're measuring height, where do you start measuring from? So if you're doing altitude, well, that's height above sea level. You know what? Hawaii's made up of a whole bunch of mountains, and they don't start at sea level. They start way down under the ocean. So altitude, probably not a good indication whether it's a mountain or a hill or whatever. So then where do you start measuring? Well, from the valley floor. Okay, which valley? So I'm sorry, but most mountains, there's more than one valley around it. There's the valley between this mountain, and the same mountain and this third mountain over here. And then, there's valleys. I mean, within this mountain, there's like a little valley in the middle, and then it comes back up. Okay. So from which valley? Where is the base of the mountain? I think. See, and now we're into that phase where a lot of people call it stepping outside the box. Although most people that say we need to think outside the box, what they really are saying is, I want you to start thinking like me. And I don't like that. Honestly, you can disagree with every opinion I express on this channel, and I'm okay with that. What I want you to do is cogify. Even if you come up and say, hey, my filter still works fine, and you put it back in and you use it, that's fine. Just take it out and look at it and make sure that it works. That's what I'm after. So back to this mountain thing. Okay, so what are some other ways of phrasing the question? How is a mountain different from a valley? Says, obviously, well, the mountains go up and the valleys go down. Yeah. Except that having lived in some mountains, the valley is sometimes up higher than something else. It's down lower. Another valley. Maybe. Okay, so mountain is something that sticks up. Okay, but hey, my house is not on a mountain. It's on a fairly high point in the neighborhood. So things go down from here and up to here in the very, very close vicinity. Although you go that way too a little bit, and suddenly you're going up another mountain, or because it gets a little bit higher, it goes up a little bit. I still would call it mountains though. So that would be hills. So now we're looking at again. It's the amount of change relative to what? And yeah, now you're going to say, Coach Fletcher, you're making mountains out of molehills. Yeah, yeah. Okay. What does it matter what your definition of a mountain is? Does it? It really probably doesn't. Okay. For the ones that do matter, they incite a lot of emotional response. And maybe you wouldn't want to be watching that particular video. By the way, if anybody's watching, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Maybe I haven't got the chat working, but probably nobody's watching. So here's the deal. I've got to come up with the definition before I put it back in and start using it. I've got to make sure that it's something I'm comfortable with. So mountain, it has to do with a change in elevation from my perspective most of the time. Okay? Some of the time I'm going to be on top of the mountain and the change of elevation is always going to be down. Most of the time where people generally stays down at the bottom, right? That would include any cities or whatever, settlements, roads. Most generally roads don't go up and over the top of the mountain and back down. Some do. Those are the rolling hill type mountains. Most civilization is not on the top of the mountain. So that's the definition I'm gonna go with. I know it's not 100% accurate. I'll accept that. Most civilization is not at the top of a mountain. So if there's a lot of civilization, I'm going to say it's not a mountain. That's going to conflict with many of y'all's definitions. That's okay. That's my definition. Just add it to my definition. And then from where most of civilization is, if the rise in altitude is significant enough that from there where the people are, you have to look upward at least. No, we can't do degrees because of what the mountain's far away. Can't do the angle view. Let's say it goes up half a kilometer. 500 meters, that's how many feet would that be for those Americans? 500 feet, 500 meters is probably 1,700 feet. It's over 1,000 feet. Yeah, half a kilometer. For my definition, it goes up half a kilometer from most of civilization. That's a mountain. No, that's still too much. Half a kilometer, because really, a kilometer is quite a ways up. If you're just going, as you're measuring straight up, I mean, space is only 100 of those out, and mountains are, I mean, once you get up to the edge of space, everything looks flat. I mean, there is no variation, really. I mean, you can see it, but it all might as well be the same height. Mountains only stick part way into the atmosphere. I know it seems to get really thin really quick. Trust me, mountains only stick except for a handful of them, they're only a little ways into the atmosphere. So let's say 200 meters. That includes a lot of the mountains that a lot of people would include. No, 200 meters. No, to me that's still too low. 250 meters. We'll go 250 meters. Yeah. From now on, my definition is its elevation is 250 meters from most of civilization in the area, most of the adjacent civilization. It's that terrain feature. I mean, because there's civilization here and there's a mountain way over on the other side of the world that's, not adjacent terrain feature, where civilization is. Now we get to the thing of unexplored mountains, Mars, Moon. They don't get to be called mountains until their civilization. Oh, see, now I've got to replace that. That gets us to our next step in CoachFlex. Once you think you have a filter set, start poking and prodding it some more, see how that looks. And yeah, go outside the box. It's like Moon and Mars. We're talking about mountains. That's stuff that's here, right? On Earth, I'm never going to go to, okay, don't never say never, because you just might. Even if you got kidnapped and taken there, you just might. It could happen. Not anytime soon, but soon is relative. Okay, so we're reevaluating it and going, okay, maybe not civilization. Adjacent. I like that word. Adjacent. Adjacent terrain features. Major terrain features. There are rivers and streams on mountains. They come down the mountain, carve things away, and get the waterfalls and pretty stuff. Okay, you get this cliff face. A major terrain feature. Plateau, step, valleys. I mean, and then another mountain. It goes higher than this mountain. So you get the mountain range. At least 250 meters up from any major adjacent terrain. I'll have to decide on what that word major terrain is. I think that's something to reflect on later. At this point, we're ready to move on to the next step. That's putting it back in. Essentially, that's just a decision. I've decided from now on, or at least I'm going to try it out. I'm going to think of mountains as anything that rises at least 250 meters above any of its adjacent major terrain features. Okay, as I go through my travels, I'll look at all the time, look at some maps over the next few days and see how that fits. That's where you're trying it on and putting it back in. Code-reflecting takes time. It takes place over a period of time. You can be code-reflecting many things simultaneously, and should be. Not everything, because then you're defeating the purpose of having these cognitive. They do help us to function. They're useful. You can't be evaluating all of them all the time. That's what I'm evaluating right now. Mountains. Yeah. I think I have a new filter.